Hi guys, I did start doing this and it collapsed. You know what it's like when you're doing these things. Halloween? Anybody? Too early? Yeah, month too early? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I was doing a video and I was talking about reincarnation and I was doing my makeup at the same time. I've just put some foundation on. I've put some eyeshadow on. I'm using this new palette that I bought. It's from Juvia's Place and it's called the Rebel Honey. It's so nice. I got it in England. Actually, they're starting to bring that in England. In fact, they're starting to bring a lot of things to England because we are having a Popeyes as well. Yes, a Louisiana Popeyes. Wow. I spent a lot of time there when I was younger and I used to love Popeyes. I love biscuits. So I'm probably going to get really fat now that they've got Popeyes in the UK. Right, and then I've used the Glow palette as well. Okay, and anyway, I'm going to get on with the story that I was talking about. I was talking today about reincarnation. Anyway, and I was talking about, you know, there's a man called Brian Wise who talks about reincarnation, and he does regressions, and he was the first one I ever heard about that did it. He does regressions and he uses it to help people who may have fears, you know, like fears of flying, fears of all that stuff, and he regresses them to their previous lives to find out why they're scared. I'm going to just put a bit of this on. This is like cover up. Anyway, so I remember watching her. He was on Oprah a few times actually, and then after that they had a little boy on there with like ginger hair and freckles who remembered being a black Civil War soldier that died from a shotgun, and they actually had, which was so interesting, the drawings that he did were actually like the hospitals of that time, and they had an artist recreate, you know, his memories and stuff. So it does seem to happen quite a lot with children. So that was really interesting. And there's a YouTube channel that I watch called Weird World, and they have a lot of reincarnation stories on there of children remembering their lives before. But it is good because it can help people. I mean, I had my cards done, and they told me that I was my first life, I died really young at 19, and I was in in England, medieval times, and basically I got stabbed in the chest. And it was only when I got home that I realised that I had a mark exactly where I'd been stabbed. Wow. It kind of like, and then it kind of got me thinking more about it after that had said to me about that. So, and it's true because, like, you know, some people could say, oh, I used to be worried it was a witch's mark. Do you know what I mean? But then I was also told that I was in Salem, so yeah, it could have been. When I was in Salem, I think I was hung. I was hung rather than burnt, because I've not got no fear of fire, but I have got fear of water, and I do also have a fear of anything around my neck. I'm really strange about my neck being touched and stuff like that. I can wear necklaces, but like I like to have them quite long. I will wear a choker, but I don't feel 100% comfortable wearing one. Anyway, so I've already done my foundation. So that was interesting. And so I got a bit more interested in all this stuff. And then after that had happened, so I realised that I've told that I had a previous life in Salem, and that I'd also had this life as a medieval young soldier who got killed at 19, which I had mark exactly where. So I think that's quite what happens, that you can bring in a mark from the previous life. That's really interesting to me. And then I started looking, because I had a bit of time on my hands, so I started looking at a few stories, and I found this really fascinating story that I'm going to share with you today. I'm trying to get the end of my eyeliner pen off. Right, so I'm going to have to concentrate while I'm doing this, but at the same time, talk to you. So it was about this lady called Jenny Cocker or something like that, her name was. And she lived in Northampton, and she had 2 children, I believe. But she kept dreaming about Ireland, and she was married in Ireland to a man and lived in a cottage with her I don't know how many children there were altogether, but she had quite a few children. And some of the memories she was experiencing were really lovely memories, like them all sitting together and having, you know, dinners together, like a nice family kind of dinner and all that kind of stuff. So that was all really nice, what she was dreaming about and thinking about, because she had day visions, I guess. But, you know, she thought she was a bit weird for a while, you know. She thought, oh gosh. But then it never sort of left her. It kept coming back. And then at night she would feel uneasy about things. And she just couldn't get this, Mary was the name that kept coming to her. She couldn't get this Mary out of her mind. So she decided that to see if she could, because she was drawing pictures. She drew a picture of the church. She drew a picture of the sort of cottage and everything where they all lived. So she was thinking to herself, maybe she should go over there, because she even knew the village. And the village was, you know, it was a real village. It was called Malahide, and it was just north of Dublin. So she decided to go over there. When she went over there, she just experienced this massive deja vu. It was like, I've definitely been here before. You know, I know where everything is. And she kept dreaming about a jetty, and she didn't know who she was meeting at the jetty in her dreams. So she found the jetty and she went down to the jetty, and she just knew that, you know, she really felt that she'd been there before. It was a massive deja vu the whole trip. Anyway, she decided to put an ad in the local Irish paper. Did anyone know Mary, who lived there in the 1930s? And see what happened. And she was surprised. She did get a reply from an elderly gentleman. Anyway, he replied, and he said he remembered a Mary, a Mrs. Sutton, who lived in a cottage there, who had a violent husband, because she kept seeing this man like beating her up when he was drunk and all that stuff, because he was drinking all the money away. And he was quite cruel, you know, so that was not a very nice memory she was having of that. And he said, yeah, that this lady Mary Sutton had died when she was 32, and her children had to go into the orphanage. So she looked up for Mary Sutton's death certificate, and she found it, and Mary Sutton had died at the age of 32. She also contacted the local orphanage and found out the names of all the children that Mary Sutton had. So she then decided to try and track down the kids. So she got a phone number of the eldest son. Now he stayed at home to look after the cottage with his father, while the other kids went to the orphanage. So she managed to contact him, and obviously he must have thought, oh my Lord, what is going on here? You know, I've got this woman ringing me up. Can you just imagine what that would be like? I was your mother in a previous life. Okay, you'd think they were nuts, wouldn't you? But anyway, this is so. But she carried on talking to him. She seemed like a normal kind of lady, you know, like not a weird woman or anything. So he carried on chatting to her, and she just knew too much detail. She just knew too much detail about the whole thing, you know. So he went to speak to the priest, and he spoke to the priest about it. And the priest said, because she wanted to meet up, because she you know, after she'd spoken to him, he gave her the phone numbers of everybody, and he'd spoken to the priest, and the priest said it could be your mother calling from heaven. So he got in contact with all of his, she got in contact with all of the siblings. He hadn't seen them since, but she had all the names from the orphanage. So she contacted them all. And she managed to get a reunion of all of them together. And it was a obviously really emotional reunion, very emotional. They hadn't seen each other for like 61 years. Can you imagine what that'd be like? You know, not seeing your siblings for 61 years. You know, not ever knowing where they were. And one sister of the group was actually living near her other sister, only 50 miles away. And they didn't even ever know that they were so near to each other. So, yeah, so it was fascinating. So so they decided, they came to the conclusion that Mary had wanted this from you know, so the part of Jenny that was Mary couldn't let go of the fact that she died so young and that her children had to go to an orphanage and that they were all separated. That's what they deduced from it. And that she was, as the priest said, calling the kids together from heaven. So, yeah, so she actually did a really beautiful thing through this reincarnation thing, you know, the whole thing. It was actually ended up to be a very beautiful thing that she did, because she managed to bring a family back together. Wow. So yeah, so my thoughts on reincarnation are, I think there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of truth that it could be, you know, just from experiences, just from things I've seen, read. It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, why should people just live one life and then that's it? You know, and, you know, people have lots of experiences themselves. I once did, we were in that awful lockdown time, and I found a meditation. It was on YouTube. I'm going to just do my lips now. I was on YouTube and it was brilliant. I just, you know, we were on lockdown. There was, you know, lots of time on my hands, and I decided to go into this regression thing on my own. I mean, it's not a proper one, probably. Anyway, but it was fascinating. I actually saw myself, just for a brief moment, as a little Indian boy. How did I know I was Indian? I just knew. And I was on the back of a train, but it was like, you know, those trucks with cargoes that carry cargo and stuff. I was on one of those. I'd like to explore it further. It was really interesting for me. I saw my little dusty feet and stuff, and I knew I was a boy. But it was only brief. It was a brief, but it stayed in my memory, you know. It really stayed in my memory. And so I don't know. I mean, I think we've all had lots of lives. I think some people probably have had more than others. Some are older souls, you know. It's fascinating stuff, I think. I think there's so much we don't know. So much. That looks better, doesn't it? Yeah, I haven't done anything like this for quite a long time. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you. What do you think about reincarnation? Do you think it's, you know, do you think it's rubbish, or do you think there's something in it? I definitely think there's something in it. And especially the little kids. I mean, some people say, oh, it's fake. They always think they're Cleopatra or something like that. Probably expecting that to come out of my mouth. But no, I haven't had anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess someone has got to have been her in previous lives, though, but I don't think it was me. It's so fascinating, especially the children. There's a lot of unexplained things that happen in our life, our world. But I think we had a lot more time on our hands back then in lockdowns and stuff, and you know, we had more chance to sort of look at those sort of things maybe. And I think also because of what's gone on, people are sort of more seem to be more spiritual since that. And we're also in the age of Aquarius now, aren't we? So that might have something to do with it too. Just going to put a bit of lipstick on. I really like this colour. Blend it all in. And then I will just finish with some mascara. Yeah, I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. But yeah, I quite like doing this with the lipsticks and the eyeliners. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's more to the world than we are given to believe. We all live in this as existence where we just go to work, and I think we have lost a lot of spirituality as well. But I'm fascinated by these kind of things. I find them interesting. I like to learn about different things. In different cultures, you know, it is more, they do think about these things more. So just put a bit of mascara on. I think that looks quite nice for today. Anyway, so that's my story. That's what I wanted to talk about. And thanks for listening. Bye.